name is Supriya Matthew. I am the head international relations and international admissions. So in our effort to help internationalize the campus and make you aware of the opportunities around the world, we bring people from different parts of the world to help you understand what opportunities are there in the world. So till the time you will not know, you will not be able to explore. I think they can hear me. Fine. So in that list, we have invited EducationUSA, which is an arm of the US Embassy in India, to help you understand what are the visa processes of US and what are the prospects and opportunities available in the US for beginners like you who have just entered into a bachelor of education. It's a long road here, but during the long road over here in BSU, we will give you a lot of interesting opportunities to go to US. So this is an interesting workshop. I understand there has been a delay because we just wanted to meet and greet the guests. We will just start the program. Okay? Thank you for bearing with us.
Respected dignitaries, faculty, students, a very good morning to you all. Today, we all are gathered here at Dayananda Sagar University to broaden our knowledge about the journey to pursue higher education in the United States of America. I'd like to extend our warmest greetings to the speaker of today's session, Mr. Cardenas. Welcome to the Dayananda Sagar University. I'd like to thank Mr. Cardenas and his team, Ms. Preetika Sacha, Center Manager, EducationUSA's Bangalore Center, Ms. Anita Bose Natarajan, Advisor at EducationUSA's Bangalore Center, and Ms. Ramya, Advisor at EducationUSA's Bangalore Center. Thank you everyone for agreeing to spend the valuable time and sharing the valuable information to our students of the Dayananda Sagar University. A small introduction regarding Mr. Lewis Cardenas. He is South Asia's Regional Education Advising Coordinator, REAC, based in New Delhi, India, supporting over 50 talented and caring EducationUSA advisors in 6 countries. Mr. Cardenas works closely with the US Department of State and US embassies or consulates across South Asia to promote the United States regarding higher education sector. Before joining the EducationUSA network, Mr. Cardenas served as the Assistant Director of International Admission and International Partnerships of Special Programs at Michigan State University. In addition, he held roles as the Dean of International Enrollment at St. Peter's University in New Jersey, as the Associate Director of Admission and International Student Services at the Metropolitan College of New York, and the Director of International Student Recruitment at Albion College in Michigan. Mr. Cardenas holds a Master of Science degree in International Public Service and Non-Profit Management from DePaul University and a Bachelor of Arts in International Studies from Albion College. Having traveled to over 130 countries, dependencies and territories, Mr. Cardenas has over 13 years of international admissions, recruitment and outreach experience. He has presented at conferences sponsored by EducationUSA, NACAC, that is National Association of College Admission Counseling, also NAFSA, Association of International Educators, also Council of International Schools, CIS, and the International Association for College Admission Counseling, IACAC. We would like to welcome Mr. Lewis Cardenas to have a quick speech about whatever you're having.
Hello everyone. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. So I know I'm based in New Delhi, but really I came all the way from the US to meet all of you. So I've heard so many great things about the faculty here and the students from our amazing team of advisors. So it's an honor to be here. So I tell students first impressions count. You're going to hear from us today, but you're going to hear about opportunities to meet more actual university reps. So you heard the long intro about me. I used to work on the university side for many years, and I always tell students first impressions count. So we hope that we make a good first impression and that you make a good first impression on us, and you're going to have the opportunity later on in about 2 months. On September 3rd, there's going to be a big university fair sponsored by the US Embassy and consulates in India, where you're going to meet 30 to 40 different university reps. So you can ask them all these questions. So this is a good practice for you. So I encourage you to ask questions. Don't be nervous, we've heard it all, and take advantage of this opportunity, okay? So I'll leave you with that before we get started. So again, thank you so much for this opportunity. I look forward to hearing from you, and I'm gonna go put on my old university hat again to try to answer some of your questions the best I can. So thank you.
I'd now like to welcome Professor Janardhan, Pro Vice Chancellor of Dayananda Sagar University, to deliver the welcome note of today's session. Before that, I'd just like to give a brief introduction about Mr. Janardhan. Professor Janardhan is a highly experienced in education administrator and strategist. He specialized in branding education institutions and successfully took DSU education to global markets. He pioneered twinning in education and integrated technology into classrooms. Professor Janardhan has extensive industry partnerships, bringing corporate leaders to interact with colleges. He currently holds the senior positions of Director, Strategy, and is now the Senior Executive Vice President in the Dayananda Sagar institutions and the Pro Vice Chancellor of the Dayananda Sagar University, as well as the Dayananda Sagar institutions, which together has 50,000 students. He is known for internationalizing education campuses, establishing academic alliances with overseas universities. Professor Janardhan, I'd like to welcome you, sir.
Thank you. Honorable guests, particularly Louis Cardenas, who's come all the way from the US to share some experiences, answer your questions. I'm sure most of you would like to go to the US for your masters and later, work in the US, probably stay back and enter the White House. It's no more greed, and America, as all of us know, is a land of opportunities. If you're ambitious, that is the country to be. Mr. Lewis has got some brilliant people with him. Some of them, I know them for quite some time. Pritika Sachar, good morning to you. Anita Bose Natarajan, Ramya Ashok. These people will be your friends for the next, you're all from first year? Yes. For the next 4 years, cultivate these people, and people staying in Bangalore, they are closest to you. You can walk into their offices or invite them. Students clubs or the international office will help you to arrange. And going to a different destination doesn't mean that there is lack of opportunities in this country. Today, it's just about 24 hours. If some parents think that why should my child go to a destination in the US, we got to look at careers, business opportunities, and the more our people spread out. I'm talking of my countrymen. The more we spread out, the India influence would extend to that extent, and there's nothing wrong for India influence to extend all over the world, dominate the global situation. One, basically because we are peace-loving people. We'll never conflict, we don't enter into a conflict with a local situation. We mind our business, we collect our money, we come back. We come back enriched both in terms of the bank balance and our intellectual wealth, which is what this world requires. Even in a classroom, diversity is welcomed. Even in countries, diversity is to be encouraged. So from that point of view, we are very eager. Dayananda Sagar, both the institutions and the university, would do everything to see that our professors teach in US classrooms, our students are seen in US labs, part of innovation that happens. We would be very happy to send our students to experience America, at least for a semester to start with. So the more opportunities that you create, that will enable young people to taste the US American universities, all said and done are good. And the job market even now in a depressed situation also US stands out. Salaries that they start with is something like $60,000 to $100,000. So which is not a small amount of money. 4 years, 5 years, you do a master's, then you do a PhD. Again, an American PhD is highly valued across the world, especially in India. So if you are looking at leadership positions, aim for something big, a PhD and a postdoctoral in an American university. So a lot of people who do not want to take mechanical engineering or automobile or aerospace, look at these core engineering programs, electrical, chemical, etc. Go to the US for a master's, work for 5 years, and enroll into a PhD program in the US. Come back, you will be king or queen in this country. Thank you very much. Now they should be ready to answer their questions. Don't hesitate. They are not your teachers, they will not award negative marks. So any questions, there should be a free flow on both sides. And for people who want to become entrepreneurs, Dayananda Sagar University has got a successful AICDSU foundation and 10 labs supported mostly by American companies are fully functional here. So the labs are there, the ecosystem is there, and the Government of India grant of 10 crores is there. So if any of you want to flourish as an entrepreneur, again when you apply to very good US schools, they look at not your academic scores, but what have you done during your 12 years of schooling and 4 years of college life. So that is what will give you an admission letter in the top schools. The normal ones, they'll say, okay, come, you've done a GRE, whatever, pay your fees, come in, okay. But if you are aiming to come out of the top 10, 20 institutions, you got to show what you've done, and there cannot be a better campus in Bangalore than Dayananda Sagar. So the ecosystem for entrepreneurship, innovation is all here in this very campus. Okay, so make best use of it. If Government of India can trust us with giving a 10 crore grant, there should be something that we have done well. If 10, 12 companies have established labs here, obviously multinationals would not just sign a check and start a lab here. So it's for you to make use of it, you to make use of all the brilliant stuff that is available in form of your teachers and your labs. Today, while talking to the visitors, I told them, let your Fulbright scholars come and spend time in our campuses. We'll host them. They can come with their families, so we'll engage all of them. And so this is a starting. And any professor coming to South India, they can stop over in Bangalore. You can, Preetika knows, any professor comes, they can send a mail. We'll go arrange for their pickup, bring them, put them in our hostels or in a nice place, and they can come to the classrooms, labs, work with our teachers, spend their time. 1 week they teach here, and 1 week we'll show them around Karnataka. And the food in Bangalore, lovely, lot of variety. Weather, most beautiful. People, extremely friendly. Correct? Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your words. I'd now like to welcome Ms. Anita Bose-Natarajan and begin the session.
Okay, thank you. Good morning. Almost afternoon. How's everybody? Okay, everybody got the little card that we sent around, our calling card? Okay, real quick. How many of y'all have I spoken to before? Have y'all seen me before I come here?
These are first years. This is the first
Yeah,
year.
I'm not that popular among you guys yet. Okay. So we represent an organization called EducationUSA. That is a program that's sponsored by the US State Department. So we are the only official source on US higher education. The reason why I'm telling you this is because I want you guys to use EducationUSA as a resource as and when you're planning to go study in the US, right? So if you need accurate, credible information, please come and ask us. That little card that you have, we call it cheat sheet. So it's a social media card. On the front, you will find the services that we offer. 90% of our services are free, so please make full use of it. If you flip to the back, you will see our social media handles. So as and when you have questions now or in the future, I know you're first year students, it'll pass in the blink of an eye. As and when you have questions, please come to us. We have advisors. There are 425 centers globally. In India, we have 8 centers. And they're all manned by very qualified advisors who can point you in the right direction. The important thing to remember is we represent all 4,700 accredited US institutions. We will not tell you which is the best institution, but we will give you an idea of how to go about doing your research. So if you look at the back of the card, you will see a QR code. That's how you get into our WhatsApp group. So any scholarship information that we have, we'll pass it out there. Any webinars. If you have friends who are already going to the US, how many of y'all have seniors who are already planning to go to the US? Yes. So if they're going for visa interviews, have them scan our QR code. We're having webinars. Also go to Education USA India Facebook and YouTube pages. They are recorded sessions with the consul officer. This is very important. There's a playlist for you guys which is called the Graduate Application Bootcamp, and that walks you through step by step the application process, and that gives you a very good primer for if you're thinking of studying in the US. Come back to us with questions. Okay, this is very important that you come back to us. It's our job to help you. Okay. So the next thing is that on September 3rd, as Louis said, we are having a US higher education fair. You guys are all invited. It's free. As of now, 35 to close to 40 schools should be turning up. They're all US schools. So we thought we would do a little skit to kind of show you what we have seen students do, what they should do and what they should not be doing, so that as and when you guys show up, which we hope you do, although you're in your first year, this is a good time to get used to what the US system is expecting, what kind of questions you need to ask. So what majors are you guys? CS? Everybody's CS. What, PC? EC, okay, one engineering. Okay, the reason why I said that is because I majored in electrical engineering.
Aerospace.
And aerospace. Okay. AI and ML. Very good. Very good. Very good. Okay.
Cybersecurity is also
Yes. Okay. So as and when we are doing these skits, we'll open up for questions. So if you guys have questions, ask us. But I have one question for you guys first. Why do you think students go study in the US at a graduate level? Yes.
Ma'am, it's mainly for more exposure and the value it gives to your credentials.
Okay. It is also flexibility. Okay. So what happens in the US? You have choices of classes that you get to take in terms of elective. So say for example, you all guys are CS majors and you decide, like half of you will decide, I'm going to start up my own company. You can have a minor in entrepreneurship also. So you are not just, exposed to just the engineering classes, and also as part of your engineering classes at the master's level, you will have electives to take classes in the business school. This is separate from if you want to do a minor in entrepreneurship. So it's actually that flexibility that you have. It's also the experience that you get on campus, academic as well as non-academic. So you will hear teaching assistantship, research assistantship. It is not restricted to what you are studying. You can be studying computer science and you can actually have a teaching assistantship in the industrial engineering department. You will learn stuff there. You're actually getting paid from the IE department, but you're majoring in computer science. So when you graduate, you will have skills from 2 areas. You could be running clubs, organizations on campus where you have soft skills. So that is why a US education, when they say, it's well worth that money, it's because it is well-rounded, but obviously you have to participate. You can't just sit around and hope things come to you, which is why we're doing the skit, so you guys get an idea, so you don't ask like the usual questions that you're so used to asking, because we want you to make the most out of that opportunity. It's not always where you get so many schools coming, and that too, these are admissions people. So why do you think you need to get in front of admissions people? Why is it important? Whoever answers gets a pin. They're not going to ask you your grades.
They have already done the research on the front.
You want to get in front of admissions people because they usually are the first ones to look at your application. They know what scholarships they have. You want admission, you want scholarships, they're the key, right? So that's why this is important. So as we go through this, think of questions and ask us. Okay? All right, so let's start. Ramya is out.
Yes, I'm a student now.
Yes, Ramya is a student.
Sir, nice to meet you. How are you?
Good, how are you? What's your name?
My name is Ramya.
Ramya.
And I'm doing a bachelor's in computer science engineering.
Okay.
So, yeah. My question is that I'm going to anyway study master's in computer science or a computer engineering. But then I'm also interested to know more about the electives that we can take or the side subjects that all my friends talk about. Can you please explain more about that to me, please?
Yeah, definitely. So as a graduate student, you're going to focus, because at the graduate level, you really need to know what you're going to focus your study in. Your undergraduate is a little bit more exploratory. You have probably much more flexibility.
Okay.
But at the graduate level, we have a couple opportunities where you can take some courses in some of our other graduate programs.
Okay.
We have an international business course. We have a data science course.
Wow.
That tends to be popular for computer science engineering because a lot of the curriculum intertwines. So I would highly encourage you to take advantage of that,
Okay.
because at the graduate level, you're going to probably be in a cohort, be with the same students throughout your program,
Okay.
but taking some of those elective courses are going to expose you to some students from some of our other majors, and then you're going to be able to develop some new friendships, learn a little bit about that skill set, and it's only going to complement your graduate degree.
Oh, wonderful.
So I like to tell students the US is very special because the US, it's all about a liberal arts philosophy. Even at the graduate level, we want to work all areas of your brain. Most countries only focus on one strength or one core. In the US, we want to challenge you. That way, there might be an elective course in graphic design
Oh, yes.
that would work for a computer science major. That way, if you meet a graphic design student, you could have an intelligent conversation. It doesn't mean you're majoring in it, but you can at least hold your own. So think of it this way, at our school, Riverdale Institute of Technology, that's a made-up school, by the way, we're preparing you for careers that don't exist today.
Wow.
So think of it this way, the US is preparing you for careers that you haven't even imagined of yet.
That's wonderful.
And that's the only way is we're working all those areas of the brain.
Hey, I'm so excited.
Oh, good. I'm so
Thank
excited.
you, thank you so
for
much.
stopping by.
Thank you so much.
What's up?
Hi. How are you?
That is the first red flag. Did you see? That is not. Hey, what's up? That is not what you say.
Or the other one is dear sir, madam.
Yeah.
Or if I'm a madam and you say dear sir and you keep saying dear sir, but clearly I am not a sir, please don't do that.
Okay.
So, yes.
Hello is fine.
Yes. Hello.
Or hi is
Good
fine.
morning, good
okay?
afternoon.
Yeah.
No what's up, no hey.
Yeah. Hay is for horses. That's what I say. Hay is for horses. But,
Okay, let's come back. Let's
Okay,
come
here,
back.
back. Now you guys gotta think of questions because somebody up here is, is the next one. Wait, you finish.
Just wait.
You finish. I majored in chemical engineering and I hate it because my parents made me do it.
okay.
But I really like computer science because I'm going to make lots of money. So can I change from chemical engineering to computer science because I just really hate chemical engineering?
So that's a great question. So I would say yes, you do have the option because it's a similar major.
Okay.
So if you were interested in a professional program like nursing,
Yeah.
we offer a great nursing program. I would say for nursing, you should have an undergraduate degree in nursing.
Okay.
But for engineering, you could go into a business field. You can go into some of our various engineering fields. You can go in data science. There's a lot of different options for you with that core engineering program. But I would challenge you to make sure that you really want to study chemical engineering, because it sounds like you only want to do it because you want to make,
My computer science.
you know what? Our most successful alumni at Riverdale Institute of Technology, we have some very notable alumni, but they're successful and they're happy because they chose a career and a major that they enjoy.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that you really want to do chemical engineering. So maybe we should set up a time later, or maybe I can place you in touch with a faculty member
Yeah.
or a current student, so
Yeah.
that way you can really find out if that's the track that you want to pursue, or we have 50 other master's degrees that you might be interested in.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Nice to meet you.
Same here.
I have one question. Sir, you know, I have had 5 backs, but I cleared it all. That's no more. But I also wanted to know, what are my chances to get into the school that I want to get in for masters? And will it help if I do some internships or some kind of research papers to adjust the lag that I had in my undergraduate studies?
Fantastic. Well, I hope that the school you want to go to is Riverdale Institute of Technology. But thank you for stopping by. So if you've had 5 backlogs, that's not horrible. We've had students with more backlogs. But I'm glad that you cleared them. It's always good to have a conversation to explain why you had the backlogs. You know, we understand we're human beings. We know sometimes students have family emergencies, issues, medical, that might have caused the backlog situation. But as long as you cleared them, and as long as you have a good SOP, which a statement of purpose, or sometimes you say personal statement, essay, as long as you have a strong essay, that additional extra research or extra internship is certainly going to help boost your overall application, especially with a good letter of recommendation from somebody at that company, or if you did research with a faculty member. All those will certainly help your admissions decision.
I have heard about an organization called EducationUSA. Would they help with helping us to, you know, structure our SOP, etc.?
Absolutely. So Education USA, we always recommend students go to Education USA, take an SOP workshop. There's a lot of great videos on YouTube that are free. The advisors, especially, you're from Bangalore, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the advisors there are some of the best we have in the entire network.
That's wonderful.
So absolutely. So, but please know, Education USA is not going to write the essay for you, right? Because that's a disservice to students.
Okay.
Because you're going to be writing a lot of papers in college at the graduate level. We're not doing any good if we're writing the paper for you. But we can absolutely look at it. We can give you tips and skill sets. And what school do you go to? What college?
It's Clarence College.
Okay, and I bet there are some great faculty at Clarence College that have studied in the U.S. that might be able to also look at your essay too. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We had a question. Do we have the one mic, or do we have more than that? Just the one mic? Okay, I'll just.
I can probably hear you too.
Yeah.
Hitesh,
I think I can
you
do
that.
it.
Oh yeah, she's great.
That's
Yes.
confidence.
She does. Oh, there is one more. Okay. Yeah. What's your question? Ask away.
Okay, there's a speaker somewhere there.
Okay, I think we need to take it back. It's too close. The range is too close. Yeah, my question is that, you know, when we apply for the undergrad in US, they look into our, school, not only our grades, but they also see our extracurriculars and everything. And if I'm not wrong, please correct me, maybe even for the masters, we need those extracurriculars. If yes, then what should I build on? And if no, then should I completely focus only on my grades?
Yeah, so great question. So I bet that was one of the
One of the
student
prepared
questions. So the extracurriculars for the graduate level should be, if you can join a club or organization, right? Some of you, if you're interested in mechatronics, or if there's a robotics club, right? That might be a good club to join. But it's not, I would say, try to focus your extracurriculars to more internship opportunities, because I think those are going to highlight more than, say, you were a high school student. If you were still a high school student coming to the US as an undergrad, then chess club, drama, debate, all those are okay. Before graduate school, they're going to really see like, oh, robotics club or Model United Nations, or I participated in a conference, or I had the honor to co-present a research paper with esteemed faculty, esteemed faculty member at my school. All those are extracurricular types of programs that are gonna make your application and you shine at the graduate level. Because remember, this is graduate, so different than undergraduate. This is the next step up. Yeah.
Next question. Yeah.
Yeah, so like many of us, we are hesitant in taking the first step towards any, once we enter the graduate level, we are hesitant in taking the first step in many places. For example, in academics, like performing a seminar, we hesitate to take the first step. So how do we get the boldness to take the first steps in many places?
You're already bold. Why
Yeah.
do you need that?
Yeah. That's a great question. Look, at the end of the day, we know you are still young adults, right? Most colleges and universities still know that you are still forming yourself as an individual, your ideology, your thought process. So, like, when you have an opportunity to interact with the college or university or connect with the faculty member there, again, it's about making those first impressions, and it's highlighting who you are. So at the graduate level, I tell students it's okay to brag more than at the undergraduate level. At the undergraduate level, you don't want to brag too much because you're a high school student, right? Like how awesome could you possibly be, right? But at the graduate level, you're already doing research, you're writing papers. You can brag a little bit more at the graduate level in your SOP when you're writing communications, right? You want to be humble, but at the same time, show that school why they want you as a future student.
So get used to being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Okay? Look for things that you would be interested in that you're a little bit too afraid to do, and just try it in small steps. And if you're thinking of graduate school, a lot of it, as what Louis said, points closer towards academic as well as leadership that has to do with academic. Okay, so like he said, you can't be telling me you're captain of the basketball team, cricket club, stuff like that. It does not really count much for graduate school. But what have you done towards your major or towards the major as a whole? That is what they're looking at, because they're looking at what you're going to be contributing on the campus as a graduate student.
That's a great point. It reminds me, in some countries, you could literally go to graduate school and not show up to class, take the exam, and pass. In the US, absolutely not. Participation is a core, usually about 25 to 30% of your grade. So you have to actively participate in the classroom. You can't just sit in the back and be quiet, take that exam, and hope that you pass, because participation is going to be part of your grade.
Yes.
But again, that's all part of the skill building, right? That's why the US degree employers, a UK study about 4 years ago surveyed all the degrees, Malaysian, Singaporean, Aussie, UK, US degree. Employers, if they had all those degrees and qualified employees, almost 99% of the time, they always choose the person with the US degree.
And it's okay to make mistakes.
Yes,
It's
absolutely.
okay to embarrass yourself. Nobody remembers
Yeah.
it after a while, so
Yeah.
don't worry about that.
Yeah. Great question, though.
Do we have
Any other questions?
any other questions? Yes?
Oh, this is
Yeah.
awesome.
Yes, good,
Okay.
there are two. Okay. Go on.
So I have a question regarding the curriculum mostly, because it's obvious that Indian education and the American education systems are very different, right? So a student who's been used to 18 years of the Indian system, how can he like prep himself for a master's in the US? Any form of like
Yeah, so I would recommend, and this is something I was reminded of, if you have an opportunity, since you're in your first year, to really familiarize yourself, besides looking at all the YouTube and attending all the trainings that we do and all the sessions and opportunities to get in front of a US rep, is that if you have an opportunity to go on a short-term or summer program as part of your current undergraduate experience to the US, I think that is super helpful, because a lot of schools will offer, like, for those of you in CS or robotics, AI, they'll offer a 1 or 2 weeks summer program with their faculty where you can go and really experience what that classroom is going to be like. I think that's probably one of the best things you can do. A lot of students tend to watch a lot of movies about colleges. I don't necessarily recommend those, because sometimes those are more like the party scene, right, of colleges. So really taking advantage of those opportunities, getting to meet the reps. A lot of times Education USA will have faculty members do like a master class or a session for students, and seeing what that instruction is like, because instruction is going to be very different, right? And most countries, students would never interrupt their professor, but in the US, it's like, you don't want to be disruptive, but it's okay to say, "Excuse me, professor, I disagree with that." They actually encourage you to challenge thought processes and ideology, right? In the US, it's okay to address most of the time your professor by their first name, right? That took me the longest time, because I was always taught, like, you always address them doctor or professor, right? And so it took me about 4 years before I called my French professor by her first name, and it's still like awkward for me, because I always call her Professor Gen and Lily. So things like that, those little things are, you'll get used to it, right? You'll have an international student orientation. After your first couple weeks, you'll start getting used to the rhythm of study. You'll start getting used to small group projects, office hours. All professors have office hours that are posted. They encourage you to stop by. You're not bugging them if you knock on their door. That's what those office hours are for. And they want to hear from you, even if it's just a, here are things are going, or if you're struggling with an assignment, they want to hear from you.
And remember, you're not alone.
Yeah.
You're not the only international student that is there. There are students from many different countries that come, and even from India, you have lots of students coming. So you can relax.
Also, the US system, it's not that you goof off the whole semester and just before the exams you study. US system is you're consistently studying and consistently performing. So if you miss class, you've missed good information for that day. A lot of times the exams, especially at graduate level, the profs just make it up on the fly. Like literally tomorrow's your exam, today they come in and they're like, well, I think I'm going to quiz you on this, on that, and if you miss that class, you don't know what's coming up on the exam. Yeah. Whoever attended that particular class, they already know the questions, because they're giving you the questions on purpose, because the answers are tough. And you better know the answers when you walk in tomorrow, right? So that's the US system. Nothing usually is from the book. If they say take home, just weep, because like nothing's from anywhere. Okay, but you will learn. Once you get into that system, you will learn how it works. But the most important thing is that you do not, and a lot of times you don't have that break, like a study break. So you're working in the morning and you're taking your exam just after your shift is over. It's a very normal thing. So school is just part of life. But you have to consistently be part of life. Can't be sleeping all the time. Okay, next person. Yes.
Good afternoon all. So let me hope that I have completed my masters in USA. So it is better to stay back there and work, or should I come back to my native? So which should be better according?
You know what? It's whatever makes the best sense for you. But for all students, especially in a STEM, science, technology, engineering, or math major, which I think all of you are, you should take advantage of what's called OPT, Optional Practical Training. So for STEM majors, it allows you to stay back and work for up to 3 years. So that's an amazing opportunity, right? Like that may open up doors back home here, and it may open up doors in the US, but you should take advantage of that opportunity because it only gives you those 3 extra years to apply for your master's, what you learned in that master's program, right? So why not take advantage of that? And then at that point you're like, I'm ready to go back home. Then I know a lot of folks in India are coming back because the businesses here are booming almost more than maybe in the US itself. So a lot of folks are coming back with their US degree and are starting companies, or they're joining big organizations. So yeah, so I would say if you can, definitely take advantage of the 3 years. Why not? Yeah.
The job is what you're looking for. So if the job happens to be there, you use the 3 years. If they happen to open up new divisions, which they are, Google in Hyderabad, like all the bleeding edge stuff is being implemented here, then that might be an answer for you because that's what you want to work on. Okay, so it's actually the job, right? Next question, yeah. Okay, good. We have more questions.
Good afternoon.
Louder.
Good afternoon. So, I understand that you told us that we have to build our extracurriculars and work on some programs and maintain a decent grade to get into the States. But even after all that, I've heard and I have seen some of my friends getting rejected, right? And the chances of getting rejected at the schools that we want to get in are pretty high. So how do I make myself most qualified to at least encounter the least number of rejections so that I get in at least in one of the desired colleges that I want to study in?
You want to take it, or you want me to take it, or you?
Go ahead, Liz.
Yeah, I would just say again, keep your options open. So, Miss Anita mentioned there are 4,000 plus schools in the U.S. 4,000, right? Most developed countries have 20 to 300 universities. I think India has 300, if I'm not mistaken, universities, right? 300, 4,000, right? You're gonna have a lot of options. So I would say keep your options open. We always tell students, apply to your dream schools, to a middle school, and then a safety school. But make sure all those schools are good fits for you, that you would be okay, even if you don't get into your dream school, right? Those dream schools are very difficult to get into for American students, let alone international students, right? You've got a lot of competition. You've got a lot of bright people in India. You got a lot of people in China also competing for those spots too. So it's okay, right? You've got 4,000 options. And as long as it's an accredited institution by the US government, and again, EducationUSA can make sure that you're not applying to a school that is not, keep your options open. Because what I've seen at all the schools I've worked at, even top 100 schools, to schools that you might have never even heard of, I've seen successful alums at both institutions, successful, happy, leading good lives, and making decent amount of money as well too. So again, keep your options open. I challenge you, look at states in the US that you might not see on TV, right? We all see New York, California, or New Jersey is popular for Indian students. Go to schools in the Dakotas, in Idaho, in other states that you maybe are not as familiar with, because they may actually have more opportunities, and they may want more Indian students because they don't have as many Indian students as some other schools in some other states, right? So they might even throw a graduate assistantship as part of your package because they're like, please, we want some talent from Bangalore. I know we're in the middle of nowhere, Wyoming, but we're an awesome school, and I bet that school is going to be probably an amazing fit for you, just as much as probably that dream school you were probably aiming to get to. So.
But is a middle school like what you said? If I don't get it in a top school in the States, but I get into a middle school or an average school, so would that make me any better than studying a top school in India?
Not necessarily, because at the end of the day, it's a U.S. degree. That's really what employers are looking for. Very few are going to look at the name of the institution that you studied in.
Yeah.
And also your research before you apply comes in at this part. And that's one of the reasons that organizations like Education USA go all out to bring in accredited universities at your doorstep by conducting these Education USA fairs. So you know you can have access to
the highly
actual
selective
admissions
schools.
officers from
How to improve the
universities,
chances of
and you can ask such very relevant, well-researched questions as a start, and then go into every university's website and their particular department that you're interested in, and do further research and load up yourself about the knowledge, whether you really like the courses that they are offering, and that will be the university that you want to go to, isn't it? So, yeah.
Bhaskar is calling you. Bhaskar is calling
Yeah,
you for 10 minutes.
okay,
So
sure.
10 minutes में आ
I
जाना.
love these questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, consider I'm doing my undergraduate course in, say, computer science, but I want to go for my graduation for like aerospace or something. What are the issues that I'm going to face during this? I'm not talking about the academics, rather, say, application process or visa interview or anything related to that.
The shift in the
Course.
Yeah.
From
You.
CS to aerospace.
Yeah.
Okay, so first and foremost, for those of you all planning a career in the US in aerospace, it's just like in India, unless you're a citizen, there are very, very few jobs available to you because of security reasons. So you have to actually do your research and see that, you know, students who are graduating with their master's and or PhD in aerospace engineering, aeronautical, that whole field. Is there any employment for you in the US? Because if there isn't, you are unable to get any internships, you're unable to make use of your curricular practical training and optional practical training. So in terms of a CS going into aerospace, yeah, so the thing is for CS, you're not doing hardcore engineering.
No, it's not
Whereas-
about CS to aerospace.
Okay.
Let's say A to B.
Yeah, A to B, it depends what classes you're lacking. That's what they're going to look at. First, they'll obviously look at your math, okay? To see if you have a decent level of math, the higher level maths for engineers. And then they're going to see how it's related to the major that you're going to apply to. So the math is the first thing, then it's the third and fourth year engineering classes that you're taking, the concentration that you're taking, whether it is the right one aligning to that particular major or not. So for aerospace, you know, you have some of the mechanical engineering classes because the programming, they won't do that hardcore programming. Like, you don't really need to know databases to do aerospace, okay? So whatever you're lacking, that particular institution will look at. The more competitive an institution, the more they will accept students who have exactly what they need because they don't have to train you in something else, okay? The ones that are not extremely selective, meaning single digit, they will look at your potential. And I have had students who have switched from aerospace to computer science in the computer science school where they made an exception because the student had worked a few years and was able to prove that he had the technical know-how. And they wrote a beautiful acceptance letter. The dean of the CS school wrote a letter saying we don't usually do this, but you have made your case, so you know we're extending the offer of admittance to you. So it is possible. Sometimes they'll come back and they'll say you need to take a few more of these classes before we can take you in, or here's a provisional admit, come in the summer, do this, and then we will take you in. So the answer to your question is that it depends.
So we'll have to meet our criteria.
Yes.
Whatever they are offering.
Yes, and for example, I'll tell you, for USC, if you're applying for computer science, MS and CS, and you are undergrad is something other than CS, they'll say, we're not looking at you. Here's another master's course meant for the non-CS majors. So some of them will specifically say, so please read that because it's about $100, $200 US with your application. So if they say we're not taking, it means they're not taking. You can always appeal, but do that before you apply, before you spend your $100.
Yeah. Great.
And even if you meet all the criteria that is given out by the university for your research, it is also important to have a justification or a kind of a route map that justifies your switch in your statement of purpose. Think through all of that and then create your application. So when we say put together a strong application, this is exactly what we need.
Student in the back with the mask. We'll get to all of you guys, don't worry, yeah.
How does it help, like, if you be a member of an international NGO, but also you participate in international NGOs, So how does it help us for getting a direct admission into it?
That's a very specific question.
Yeah, I would say are you volunteering or working at a?
I'm working at AWID.
Okay, yeah, I mean, again, the best thing you could probably do is get a letter of recommendation that is talking about your work ethic, your dedication, any special projects that you're working on. That would help in that area, because unless you're going like into international, like that was my major, international public service, nonprofit management. Obviously, the NGO work would be fantastic, right? But if you're going into CS engineering, again, I think where that letter of recommendation, somebody that can talk about your work ethic, your work style, is going to be favorable when you're applying to a school.
That's wonderful. There's a question there.
Yes.
Said about security for aerospace.
Yes.
And security.
Yes.
So if you have a green card, will be okay.
Okay, the question is, if you have a green card, will it be okay if you get into aerospace engineering?
Yeah, for again, you have to meet the criteria for admission, right? You can't just say, hey, I'm a U.S. citizen, accept me into your program. Even U.S. citizens have to meet the requirements, right? Like Miss Anita said, they have to have the math, the science skills, all those prerequisites to be considered for aerospace engineering. Those of you looking at aerospace, fantastic, because right now in the U.S. there's even a program now called Commercial Space Operations. Commercial Space Operations. This program in the U.S. is already training students to live and work in outer space. It sounds like a science fiction movie, but I bet 10 years from now when we come back to do this presentation, if we're still around, we're gonna have a moon colony, we're gonna already have people, we're gonna have the voyages, right, to the moon and back. So it's not gonna sound as bizarre, right? When I say commercial space, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, the moon colony. Yeah, so imagine that. There's already a program that's already preparing students to live and work in outer space. Yeah.
Yes.
Apart from academics, let us assume that the student is financially not well. He wants to do a higher study. Let's assume that he got on campus in the college. By that, is it possible to do higher studies in abroad, or you should go to that job and scholarships award like that? How to pursue?
I think you need to rephrase the question.
His question is, how does he finance his studies with on-campus employment?
Yeah, that's a great question. The reality, on-campus employment is limited to about 20 hours a week. Most students, graduate students maybe will work a little bit more than undergraduate students, but I would say most students would probably not work the full 20 hours because you have to study, right? Like you can't just work and not study. So you have to be you have to be a good standing student, right? Good academic standing. For the most part, on-campus jobs in the US will probably pay anywhere from $9 to maybe $16 for a graduate student per hour. That's usually not enough to pay for your tuition, but it will at least help pay for your personal expenses, clothes, going out to eat with your friends, things like that. That's probably what that on-campus job will help cover. You mentioned fellowships and assistantships. Those you have to apply for and get accepted by the faculty. Those will help subsidize your tuition, sometimes even tuition and housing. But they're highly, highly competitive, especially for CS majors because it's such a common major, especially in India, right? You've got 1.4 billion people, probably 1 billion of them are CS majors. It's gonna be very competitive, right? So they're probably looking for other majors for some of those opportunities. So don't get discouraged because you can still, those 3 years, we talked about OPT over here, those 3 years, you can stay in the US, work full-time, and that will probably help pay for some of your expenses, okay? So we talked about education, everyone, about is an investment, right? It's an investment. Your degree right now that you're taking is only appreciating value over time. It's one of the few things on earth that gains value over time, right? If I go here down the street and I go to the Tata dealership, I buy a car, I turn the key, I can no longer sell that car as brand new, right? Nope, it is now a used car. I will never get the same amount that I bought it for, even if I only turned the key and drove it a mile or a kilometer, sorry. Right, but your degree appreciates value over time. So you have to look at this, your future studies as an investment, right? An investment in you, in your future too. Seek out those scholarship opportunities too. Education USA has a great list of scholarship opportunities for students at all levels.
We have time for maybe
I already
two
told
more
him.
questions, that's all.
Oh.
Yes.
So when I was searching for programs, I saw
Louder.
Louder.
Oh yeah.
The back.
Pensions are audible. ECS.
Yeah, EECS.
Yes.
Okay, so I want to know, I have two follow questions. First one, is it a double major? And can I leave the electrical engineering part? Can I just do the CS part? Or do I have to engineering and CS?
Yeah. Do you want to answer it?
Okay,
Yeah.
so the question is, he
That's a
saw
great
major EECS. So you actually have to see what they're giving you. It will specify whether EECS is electrical engineering, computer science, okay? They don't have electronics, it's called electrical engineering. So you need to see, they don't usually at a graduate level, electrical engineering is one degree, computer science is another. A lot of times if they don't really have a proper computer science degree, they will club it maybe into electrical engineering. So what will happen is you will take most of your EE, that's EE, most of you will take your EE classes, and then you will have a couple of CS classes. So they might actually mean electrical engineering with a concentration in computer science. So when you apply for a job, you will put that particular degree, and it's actually your coursework and your skills that the employer is going to look at. It's not specific like in India where you only need a CS degree, otherwise we won't hire you. In the US, when you go interviewing, they're always looking for skills, what you bring to the table. Okay, Ramya, you
We
have
have one
some
question here
Yeah.
somewhere. Yes, go on. That's the last question.
We'll come back. You guys have questions, but we have no problems coming back. Did I give you a pen? No.
Wait a second. Okay, so the question is about English proficiency testing. What is the preferred English proficiency test that one has to give? The TOEFL or the IELTS? Is there any preference?
Usually in the US, the TOEFL is probably preferred because it's the American English, right? But some of you with British curricula background, the IELTS might be easier. So I tell students, most schools will accept both. If you like watching British television, take the IELTS. If you like US television, take the TOEFL. There's also online exams like Duolingo that you can take too. Some US institutions won't require an English language test for Indian nationals, okay? Some of them, it depends on your school. They might waive it, and other times, some schools will waive it if you take the GRE or GMAT. They might waive the TOEFL requirement because those tests are also in English, so they figure if you do well, they're gonna waive it for you. Are we
Next
good?
visit, yeah, we're out of
Okay.
time. We're out of time. Okay, Supriya, wait, Supriya is not here. Okay, because,
Okay, guys, I know you have a lot of
Yes.
questions,
Yes.
but Miss Supriya has our information, Education USA's contacts, or you can just Google us, and that small card has our phone number, the mobile number. You can message us. Huh. So you can message us in that phone number, and then you can ask us all of your doubts. And every Saturday at 11:30, we meet students and parents virtually on the basic orientation. You can just, there's a link given in that small little social media card that you were given. So use that link, register and attend the session for free. So that is the basic orientation session that happens every single Saturday at 11:30 a.m. So a lot of parents and students join us during that time and ask their questions. You can visit us week after week as well, so that's been happening too. So line up all your questions for that time, and also Ms. Supriya is a great resource for you all to reach out to and get information from, and our social medias.
all of the social media channels that you can think of, like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. Everywhere our presence is there. Just go there and type Education USA India, and then you are good to go.
Okay, so if you guys have lots of questions, ask Ms. Supriya to ask us to come back again. Ramya and I are happy to come back. We are Bangalore based. So we are happy to come back and answer as many questions as you have, because Louis is tight on time. And especially we're looking at, like how you build your profile, these 2-3 years that you have, the statement of purpose writing. So anything and everything, that's targeted towards higher education in the US, how to go around researching schools, how to come up with a finalized list. We do free workshops like that all the time at college campuses across Bangalore. So just ask Ms. Supriya, we're happy to come back. It's free. Once we come to universities, it's free. So please make use of that. Okay, I'm sorry we couldn't answer questions, but we have some delay in the hallway, just come ask us.
Yeah, we'll be walking across, so
Yeah.
you can just come with us.
Thank you, everyone.
Guys, please be seated.
While we're waiting, we'll take questions.
Guys, please be seated.
Excuse me guys, just give me a minute. You need your attendance, right?